Yo, what is up guys? It is Samool back again with another Epic 7 video for you guys today. And today we're going to be talking about what units you guys should be prioritizing from the recall ticket that we're going to be getting from the Hwayong nerfs happening on the 27th of October. If you guys weren't aware, Hwayong, the super OP RGB 5-star unit that just one-shots everything, is finally getting nerfed. And because she's getting nerfed, they are giving out a recall, meaning if you have a copy of Hwayong, you're getting all the materials back that you used into her, and you'll be able to choose another RGB 5-star for free, barring limited and collab units. And basically I'm going to be telling you what options are going to be the best options from that selector. That being said, you guys are definitely going to want to wait a few days after her nerfs. She might end up being not as bad as people predict. Right now people are saying she's going to be trash tier. I think she'll be, a little bit average, a little bit maybe even below average, but I don't think she'll be as bad as people think. Definitely give it a few days and think carefully about whether you want to recall her. You guys will have 2 weeks after the 27th of October to actually recall her. So there's a lot of time. So that being said, keep in mind this is my own opinion. If you guys have like a lot of bruiser units, right, and you guys don't need more bruisers, maybe pick a more squish unit. If you guys are lacking soul weavers, you guys might want to, bump up some soul weavers up to the top and so forth. Really up to you. If you guys are lacking cleave options, maybe Celine and Politis should be your #1 choice. Really up to your account. This is just a more generalized tier list for the general player base out there. So that being said, we're separating it into the best options and great options tier. Both tiers are going to be very, very powerful. It's really up to you to decide, and depending on what units you have and what you're missing and what point of the game you're in. So starting off, we have Tamarin at the top of the best tiers list. Now, that's pretty obvious. Tamarin is going to be the best soul weaver in PvE in the game. She's going to be actually the best unit for PvE in the game because you can take her into like 95% of content. Wow, that was a mouthful. But yeah, she's very, very powerful. She's extremely strong in pretty much everywhere in PvE. Only downside is you can't use her in PvP, but trust me, you want to pick her up whether you are a new or an old player. She will make your account progression so much quicker. She will save you a lot of time in PvE content when you're farming it, and you're going to realize you can pretty much take her anywhere and she'll do the job perfectly fine. Next, we have Rowana, guys, also very good in PvE. She's a very strong unit in bosses that have extra attacks or dual attacks, like Hell Queen, Adventure in the harder stages, right? Even Automaton Tower and Abyss, even in Hall of Trials sometimes. Very powerful unit. Also in PvP, guys, she's a very good counter to units that have counter attacks, right? So Violet, Ram, Bellion, SSB all get countered pretty heavily by Rowana because of her S2. She also got recently buffed, guys. Her S3 also has a pretty huge barrier now, which makes it so that you don't have to hold on to it as much. Very, very powerful unit, guys. Definitely recommend picking her up if you already have Tamarin and you don't have Rowana. Next, we have Lua. So Lua, you guys might be thinking, why is she not at the top of the list if I've been saying like she's so OP in PvP? Yes, she's pretty OP in PvP, if not one of the more broken units right now. Thing is, she requires crazy gear. So what I mean by that is you need her to be super fast while maintaining some tankiness and having effectiveness to land her S2 and S3, unless you're soul burning your S3, of course. So it makes it pretty hard for her to be used, especially if you're new to the game. Even me myself as a late game player, I struggle to actually find the right combination of gear for her. Very hard to gear in PvP. If you do have that gear though, she's extremely, extremely broken. PvE she's not used that much though, so for that reason I do have her at #3. Still a best option unit, but if you have the gear to supply it, you can get her to about like 270, even like 260 speed while being bulky. I think she's pretty fast enough and tanky enough to be usable for general PvP content. Next, we have Valencia, guys, one of the best bruisers in the game. So Valencia is going to be a very, very good counter against units that actually stack, or not stack, but use HP scaling on their attacks, like APOC Ravi and stuff like that, because she applies injuries. You can put her on injury set, making her do even more injuries. Also has a very powerful S3 with a defense buff and an AoE strip. Very good against meta buffers such as DN, Meteor Cowrick, and stuff like that. But also a very powerful unit because her S1 has that defense break, which can make her one-shot units. Strong in PvP and like World Arena and offense teams. Not really used in defense as much though, and also you won't really use her in PvE as often, but she's so powerful in PvP in the areas I mentioned. So for that reason, have her at #4. She's also not terribly difficult to gear. The benchmark for her is not that high, but of course she does want like every single stat, so the best Valencias out there will be super cracked, but just to be able to use her, you don't really need crazy gear. #5, we have Asaria. If you guys didn't pick her from the Selector summon, very good option, very good PvE unit. I wouldn't pick her over units like Tamarin or Rowana for PvE though, but Asaria works very well with Tamarin. Her S2 resets Tamarin's S3, which starts on cooldown, making them a very deadly combo in PvE. Also very good at defense breaking and stripping buffs. You can use her in like Asmonak, you can use her in Banshee if you run her in normal Banshee teams, you can use her in Hell Queen, you can use her in expeditions, a lot of areas of content you can use her in. I don't think she's as strong as people make her out to be, but she's definitely a powerful PvE unit. So now we're going to get into the great options here, guys. These units are obviously pretty great. So starting off, we're going to start off with Politis here. Very good cleaver, very good anti-cleaver, and also a very good unit against the very, very meta Conquerilius. If you guys are struggling versus Conquerilius, Politis is a very good option. Just build it on pretty bulky and also with high effectiveness and Abyssal Crown, and she can be a good option. You can potentially stun the enemy team or blind them after you cut and make it so that, you know, you can kind of cripple Conquerilius' opener. Next, we have Shu, guys. So Shu, you know, pretty powerful unit. Ooh, did not mean to drag her there, but Shu is pretty strong. So Shu is going to be pretty strong because, you know, she has a lot of RNG built in. Kind of the same similar stat guideline as Valencia. Only thing is, it is RNG heavy, so I don't really like RNG that much. So for that reason, I don't have her that high up. But some people might put her even in the best options tier. It's really up to you if you want to play with the RNG game or not. Next, we have Celine. So I think Celine's value has gone up a lot because she's a pretty good counter to Lua. So people don't know, you know, even if you sleep the Celine, you can actually, you know, cleanse yourself with your S2 blink and actually, you know, one-shot the Lua off the opener pretty much and cut. So pretty good answer to Lua. For that reason, I think Celine's value as a unit has gone up tremendously. Next, we have Violet. So Violet, you know, same thing as always, just a counter-attacking machine, very annoying to deal with. The only thing is ML, Elena's coming out, and she is going to kind of counter him, so his value might have dropped a bit. I might have to rank him a little bit lower, but nonetheless, a still very powerful unit, especially in defense teams. He's very annoying because there's a lot of RNG, and if you can pick him into low damage teams, he can just usually pop off in 1v4. Next, we have Peyra, pretty good opener in Cleave, also pretty good as a opener in general. She has a attack buff, she has a lot of mitigation, she has stuns, right, really annoying to deal with. In defense teams, she's so annoying if you have RNL, Rihanna, and Luciella, the artifact, that gives her an extra turn sometimes because she can just stun lock your team and she becomes super, super frustrating to deal with. Next, we have Senya, guys. After her buffs, I think she's been pretty strong, a little bit underrated. She does pretty crazy damage, you know. If you don't have a good fire unit answer to her, she can kind of solo your team. Super tanky, does crazy damage, and is just super, super annoying with her debuffs. Arya, kind of the same thing as Senya, right? She recently got buffed as well. Very annoying with her counterattacks. You know, she has a lot of mitigation for her team. Pretty powerful unit for PvP. I don't really see her being used in PvE at all, but in PvP, especially in World Arena, she's very, very strong. Next, we have Fire Ravi, recently buffed. I think she's pretty good now. I don't think she's like super broken or anything, but a very good solid fire DPS answer. You know, there's not a lot of good fire DPSs in the game, so, you know, Ravi, you can use like Edward Elric, I guess, and Charlotte are probably the best right now, especially after Hwayong getting nerfed. So Ravi, pretty good option. You can even use her in PvE, very good in Ancient Inheritance and stuff like that, and she's very, very powerful just in general as a fire bruiser. Just pick her into, you know, green or earth heavy teams, you should be good to go. Kayron, guys, pretty good cleave answer now with that evasion buff. Also, like I said, not a lot of good fire answer or fire units right now, so for that reason, he's pretty decent. I think if you're looking for a good cleave option or even a cleave answer, he's pretty good because he can also cleave as well with his S1. Next, Destina, guys, I think she's pretty good as a cleanser, right? She's actually a good counter to, like, blue openers like Peyra and stuff like that. She's also just really annoying to deal with in World Arena, especially if you're lacking, like, Meteor, Cowrick, and DN. Then, you know, Destina is a pretty good soul lever option for PvP because she has a lot of healing and a lot of reviving, just super annoying to deal with. Last but not least, we have Elena, guys. I guess last and least, but Elena is a pretty good option to cleave. You know, honestly, I don't think she should be on this list at all because the cleave has kind of evolved from AoE to single target now, and Elena is a good answer to AoE cleave. So I think she's not as good anymore, but she's still a pretty decent option. If you guys are looking for an answer to cleave, then, and you already have all the above units, then I guess Elena is pretty good. So that's pretty much it for this tier list, guys. What you guys should be getting from the selector from Hwayong's recall selector ticket thing. Keep in mind, you guys want to test her out, or at least wait for people to test her out a few days after her nerfs before recalling her because she might still be good. You guys will have 2 weeks for that recall ticket, so don't worry. And yeah, that's pretty much it for guys, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.